Okay, so I would say this video is for all my girlies, but realistically, I think it would be good for men as well, because we all need knowledge around this topic, and men tend to be a bit, that's a woman's thing, periods. And today's video is specifically what I will never do again when it comes to my periods. The reason I'm pointing out for men is because if you've got a partner, these kind of tips can help her have a nicer journey when it's her time of the month. But it's also just good to know about how a woman's body works and the cycles and the impacts and everything that goes on that we just ride through. Like, we make periods look pretty easy, I would say. We are a lot more complex, and I think it's just good for men to understand women a bit better, or to even just be able to relate to what they're saying. You'll never be able to relate in a sense of what we feel and how our emotions wave through. But to sympathise or to be there and show support, that kind of thing, and just, it will make everybody's life easier. So, first thing that I'm gonna say for easier periods, if you start reading ingredient lists, you'll probably realise, fucking hell, it's in everything. Refined sugar. It is the devil. The worst thing that you can put in the body. Never mind when it comes to periods. Like, back when I used to think how my periods were, they were like 5 days, heavy, like ridiculous. I remember in school, I used to literally flood through my school trousers, and I would have to like go home on my lunch break, change my trousers, have a shower, go back to school, hoping it doesn't happen again. I've leaked through the what they're called, the school chairs. Like, it's been a lot with bad periods. Like, I'm very, very in tune with bettering my periods. And obviously from that, I ended up going on contraception for like 9 years because it traumatized me from having such heavy periods, not understanding why so much was happening at such a young age. Obviously, you just don't get taught these kinds of things. But there's lots of women out there that will have had these experiences that can relate to these kind of things that just don't get discussed. Like, you're not alone, trust me. So I've, since coming off contraception in 2020, have been continuously working on improving my periods and recognising signals from what my body's telling me. And I can also tell that to the hour when I'm going to start my period. So sugar, the reason I say avoid, it does actually cause cramps to be worse, mood swings to be worse, and obviously sugar cravings get worse. Like, that alone, it's a vicious cycle if you think about it. Sugar is that addictive. You obviously want the sugar craving dealt with, but then you get the aftermath of the mood swings, the cramps, and just the continuous feeding it. So breaking that cycle, yes, it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but trust me, if you stick it out long enough and you have yourself a few healthy periods, you will think, wow, I am never touching that stuff again because I now see how comfortable I can have a period. I will try my best to help you get to that point. My comments are always open on the videos, by the way. If you ever need any push or questions answered, always drop them in the comments. Caffeine is what I don't drink anymore, but that is definitely something I would slow down or avoid when it's near your period, because it actually spikes anxiety. And that, I would say, definitely contributed to my cramps and heavier periods, because as soon as I stopped coffee, my periods following on from that were very steady, comfortable, manageable, and I noticed a difference in the comfort. I would have like 3 hours on day one of period pains and then nothing. Whereas before I'd have a whole day, if not 2, of period pains. So it's those kind of differences where I think, oh, what have I cut out recently? And then I pinpoint it and that's it. I'm like, yeah, you can stay gone. But then from there, my periods improved even more when I cut out dairy. Dairy was a big problem for me. Some people don't have any issues with dairy, but since cutting it out, I saw a huge difference in inflammation. Like, I genuinely looked less puffy. And that puffy feeling where you're not fat, but you're just puffy, I can't explain it. You just look like you've got puppy fat everywhere. That's inflammation. And I noticed my moods were a lot calmer. Even when I was coming up to periods, I used to get quite irritated. That's all subsided now. And my last period that happened in February was just, oh, you're here. Normally I get a little warning of either a swollen belly or a tight, warm pain suddenly, and I'm like, oh, in an hour I'll start. This one, I had no signal, no warning whatsoever. So it's constantly improving and just getting easier for me the more I tighten up on the rules with how I'm gonna have my period. Something else that I used to do that's just staying up late, being on my phone and just doom scrolling, for example. I will never do things like that. I don't do them anyway, to be fair, day to day, but particularly around my period, I'm very much like, this is my time, this is what we're gonna do, and I just try and keep the most peaceful, sane environment for my body, just so that I can have a nice, peaceful period. And it does work, honestly. From how I used to be to how I am now, everything I've been doing and changing, I would absolutely say is down to that. Those kind of things really do go a long way, especially if you're persistent with it and you're patient and you let it happen cycle after cycle, and you'll just see a gradual increase in better periods. That's what I'm trying to help you with here, just so that you can actually enjoy just living life still whilst on a period. Like, that's the ultimate goal. I used to also eat whatever I wanted. Like, my cravings were ridiculous, and it would be a load of ultra processed shit, don't get me wrong. That is how I used to eat like 7+ years ago. And even up until, I would probably say 5 years ago, I would still crumble to my cravings. Whereas now I'm like, no, I know why I feel like I need to eat this, but I'm not going to eat this. So I will use my natural, healthier ways of having sweetness with normally medjool dates stuffed with a nut butter to help balance the blood sugar spike so that it doesn't, because we don't want that energy crash and then crave for more. So having it with something that's low glycemic, like a tahini butter or Brazil nut butter, walnut butter, it just levels it off nicely so that you don't get a spike and then an immediate drop. Something else I never used to pay attention to was the plans that I'd got on around the time of the month. Like, don't overbook yourself. Just now I'm very much, oh no, that's my time for me. It would be a couple of days, but the first day and the second day really do need to just be as zen as possible, which sometimes is hard for me when I'm traveling. Sometimes it lands and I'm like, oh, I've got to fly tomorrow and I've just started my period. It is what it is. I just work with it in every other way that I can, like with fasting and hydration and music, that calming vibe. And I'm not really a stressful traveller anyway. I'm pretty calm with everything, and whatever goes wrong, there's always going to be a solution that we can find. So I just don't stress myself out when it comes to travel at all. And also, I used to think it was normal to have painful, heavy periods. And honestly, it's not. It's really not. And knowing that I've improved my periods naturally just by altering and changing and removing things that my body doesn't agree with, that most people's bodies won't agree with, it just shows that you can help yourself naturally, but rather than thinking, oh my gosh, there's something wrong, there are ways that you can help yourself. It just takes discipline, and it just takes understanding and learning and maybe tracking to make more sense as you go. But yeah, just being in tune with the signals, like the messages my body gives me now, I'm very much like, I know why that is. I also used to fight against my period pains and be like, I don't know, I would try and plow through things and use more energy just to get something done, when really my body's like, can you just fucking rest? I need rest, or I need warmth, or, just slow down and give me comfort. And I would often ignore that, when really I'm like, now, I'm not doing anything that requires too much energy, because my body is just doing something for me. In a couple of days, we can do it. The patience and the gentleness, I would say, because we have this every month. So let's just make it as easy as possible. But yeah, I hope those things are helpful for you. And again, it's all just perspective, things that I've learned that I'm now sharing, based on it actually working. Like, I'm not just finding stuff off the internet, I'm talking through lived experiences. And if it worked for me, it might work for you. So let me know in the comments if you do any of these things anyway, or if you're new to finding out this kind of stuff, like if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. Obviously subscribe to the channel and like this video if you like this video. We tend to just go off on tangents and talk real stuff about life. So if you do like this kind of content, I hope I see you soon.